A very, very good evening. Good evening, Sagar.
Good evening, Kalpesh. Welcome, everyone.
Welcome to the session number 12 on building productivity mindsets. And I think what a wonderful journey it has been, Sagar.
Absolutely stunning, amazing, exciting.
Wonderful. Great. So, first of all, I want to start with, Sagar, taking this opportunity to thank all the people who've been with us, who've been with us live, who have watched the video after the session was done, or who've come back
Yeah,
and, made comments or wrote questions to us and participated, making this entire journey an experience of actually building productivity mindset and
absolutely.
being with us, sharing with us, being with us, participating with us. And I want to tell each one of them that it was you who helped us make this possible. So thank you for being with us, and I want to start today's session with that gratitude to all of you for being there for us.
Yes, Kalpesh. Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah,
Great. So Sagar, I know you have some surprise for all of us to begin with, and I'm going to wait and look forward for that surprise for you to start.
absolutely. So, before we start with the surprise as a ritual and a policy, let me give a feedback about the last session, or a recap about the last session. So, last time we talked about employee engagement.
Yes.
And we touched upon the point that what are the things required for employee engagement, what is actually employee engagement in real sense, and how
Right.
employee engagement is very, very important. And it's not only one way, but it's a two-way street where it's about a commitment from both sides, it's about a trust from both sides, where it's a win-win situation or a win-win culture. And it's more of a workplace approach than just an activity done by HR to support the employees. And
Right.
we also touched upon the factors, or the four stages, which were the heart of our conversation. The first one was, what do I get, what do I give, do I belong, and the last one, how do we grow? If every one of us can keep this in our mind, I'm sure things and approaching employee engagement will always be a different ball game altogether, rather than just being one activity of HR.
Yes.
So, with this, the surprise for everyone for today's session that we are calling as Autonomous Work Culture. Here it is.
Wow.
Awesome. So, Kalpesh, if you actually saw the video, it was a symphony orchestra. The beauty was the conductor was playing music with the musicians, his team, and the instruments, but also engaging the customers, the audience, to play the claps on his indications. He was saying louder, 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 and he was doing that communication. And this is exactly what I believe is autonomous work culture, creating symphony in an organization. So
Very well
now,
said, Sagar. And I think I just want it was a beautiful piece, and I think in just that about 7 or 8 seconds that you played the video, I think there is a lot of message which can be derived.
absolutely, absolutely. So that's where I'm coming in. So when we relate, or when we look at that video in relation to an organization, let's have an understanding about how it goes. So let's say the orchestra is a full organization wherein the conductor is a leader, the teams that we have, or the instruments that are being played, are nothing but the employees different in different departments working in the different teams. The tune which they are playing using the standard operating procedure placed in front of them is our SOPs. The coordination between the team is nothing but accountability, responsibility, and ownership. The audience is none other than customer who is engaged with us. And the most important, there is a ecosystem which is giving the vibrations, giving the positive energy, giving the support to every single team member in the organization. The ecosystem is infrastructure, the lights, the stadium, the stage, the setup, the coordination. All that forms a part of an ecosystem, which are nothing but support functions in the organization. You need to have the right culture, you need to have the right infrastructure, you need to have the right technology, and only then you will be able to create autonomous work culture. And that's the thing that we have been talking about in the last 10 episodes, and to be precise, in the 8 episodes where we were sharing the strategies for building productivity mindset. And the assurance is that I have proved it, done it, been there with 2 organizations earlier, that we implemented this building productivity mindset system, and they have actually proved that yes, it results in symphony. So implement the tools, implement the systems of BPM, and have symphony in your organization. Because in the symphony, when the customer is clapping, is means that customer is playing a tune with the organization. Now, coming back to an organizational setup, when the customer is playing tunes, it indicates more orders, more money, better bottom line, and a strong top line, because we have got sales and we have got income.
Yeah, perfect. Now, I think I love the three aspects that you brought out, the three perspectives, and that's what I call as the three pillars of success. One is your organization, the second is your customer, and the third is your ecosystem.
Yeah.
And how each one of them has a critical role to play. And the epicenter of this whole piece is the conductor who actually governs the entire thing. You know, so I completely relate to the orchestra and the journey that we've had, Sagar, with regards to the building productivity mindset. And I want to share something with our audience, Sagar, today, with all due permission from you.
Sure, please go
So,
on, Kalpesh.
so for all of you who are here, who are listening to us, maybe right now or later, I want all of us here to join me in congratulating Sagar for moving out of his role as the vice president at Fenoplast and starting his own consulting named Zapro Consulting. So, Sagar, hearty congratulations, and I think it's a bold move at such an early stage in your career, but it's a decision which takes courage, which takes a lot of planning, and I'm happy to see you on the other side of the fence. So welcome aboard, welcome to the entrepreneurship, and welcome to your own startup.
Thank you very much, Kalpesh. And hands down, the credit goes to friends, family, and LinkedIn. So it's
Wonderful.
been a wonderful journey, to start with building productivity mindset as a series and share the knowledge with everyone. And in those 3 months or during that transition period, it also gave me more clarity about the future. It gave me the courage to take that leap of faith from the corporate world into the entrepreneurship world. And why I said thanks to LinkedIn is because the people, the way they connected, the way they reacted, and God's grace. My first 2 assignments, one is, of course, my relationship, one, the credit goes to LinkedIn.
Beautiful.
So let me share, let me just take a minute and, share what is Zapro, if that helps all of us to know. So
Yeah.
Zapro is ZAPRO Consultants, where Z stands for the zenith of excellence, zenith of productivity. So, as Zapro consultants, the vision that we have is that we work with the end in mind. We work with the goal in mind, the perspective of the customer, the vision of the customer, which is Z, where they want to be, the zenith of that organization, conducting a diagnosis to understand the A, where they stand at this point of time, and then using that diagnosis, giving them a deep dive using the diagnosis, the implementation of the strategies, validating it with the team and the other people, and reaching to a level where it's empowered and effectiveness is measured, and we create that autonomous work culture. So Zapro is starting from the end in mind, the goal in mind, to be focused, to be productive with the current scenario, giving professional, productive consultancy.
Beautiful, Sagar. I think wonderful. So tell us, I love the philosophy of Zappo. Uh, but tell us more, like, what is it that you're going to do, like, as Zappo consultants, what is it that you're going to bring to table?
It's about the signature program that is going to come on table, which is talking about building productivity mindset using different tools and techniques that we have listed here in the last few episodes. Apart from that, it's more of understanding the customer, creating that mindset, the right mindset, giving them the right tools and techniques, because what happens is everyone knows what they have to do, but there is a gap between doing and acting, or knowing and doing. Let me share one video with you which will correlate what I'm trying to say. So
Okay.
we saw a orchestra, we saw a symphony. Now I'm going to share one more symphony, one more orchestra, and let's see what happens there.
Okay.
So they had their SOPs, they had their standards, they had their ecosystem, but
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's, so while there was a lot of fun, I think, if I look at it from my perspective, I think, Sagar, this is where a lot of times it happens, where you get so engrossed and rather consumed in what is on table for you and what you need to do, that you actually lose out on the entire connection to what was your role as a part of the team. And I think
yes.
that comes out very beautiful from this example.
So one more thing that I would love to add here is, see, we all are busy, aren't we? We have appointments lined up, we have our to-do list, and we have back-to-back calls, or else we have Zoom sessions, webinars to attend because we want to upskill ourselves. But one thing that matters the most is we call ourselves that I'm being productive, I'm busy, I've got my to-do list. But don't we all start with one vision in our mind when we start our journey? Be it as an employee, be it as an entrepreneur, be it as a student, or be it as a coach, trainer, speaker, anything, or even let it be a small boardroom meeting. What happens, Kalpesh? We all get involved in that activity,
Yes.
and we start thinking we are productive, and that's exactly the purpose or the mission of Zapro Consultants, where we help you stay focused on your goal, on your vision, on your zenith, and give you priorities to be completed, give you milestones at every equal distance, help you celebrate those milestones, and that way we give you the productivity mindset. Now, The guy who was playing the drum was completely involved in his activity. His integrity was not to be doubted, and he was playing music, but it was sounding as noise because he was the only one who was playing it at that time. And that's exactly what we all do. We keep ourselves busy and we think we are productive. But that's anti productive. That is not being productive. That's just being busy. So, my humble request to all, yes, you have your to do list, create your goals and things, but ensure that you have smaller milestones to remind you every time you complete that milestone, celebrate it, go back to your goal sheet, check your vision, stay focused, and you will build the symphony.
Beautiful. I think that's so well said, and it is always very easier said than done, Sagar. A lot of leaders that I've met, and I've interviewed or I've met, and the teams that I'm working with, I think it relates and links back to what you just said, that people think they are productive, but at the end of the day, the organization is not moving forward.
Yeah, yeah,
And and the second major complaint which comes out, or when you dig dive, you see that all of them are so deeply engrossed into being tactical, into looking at what they need to do, what's at hand, and complete that checklist of items that they have to do. That somewhere that whole strategic thinking, that whole symphony, that whole creating the dots, connecting the dots, completely gets missed on why did we start the whole game in the first place.
yeah.
And I think that messaging is something that is very clear. Of course it is easier said than done, but can it be done? The answer is yes. What it requires is some amount of discipline, some amount of thought process, and some amount of alignment. So
Yes.
yes, it's not difficult, but it's possible.
Absolutely, Kalpesh, it is possible. So that brings me to the point of connecting the dots. So why don't we connect our dots for the audience who have just joined in and have
Yeah,
missed certain points? So we
sure.
started the journey of building productivity mindset by talking about productivity. Now, what is productivity? Most of us will say input versus output, or input divided by output, or the vice versa. For me, it's not the matter of what is input and what is the output, or what was the output and how much is the input. No, it's about how effective that output is, because I may be producing 1,000 pieces a day, of which 80 pieces are rejected. Is it valuable? No. But if you talk in terms of efficiency, yes, I'm efficient, I'm taking out 100 pieces a day. So that made us think that what is productivity in real terms. In productivity is efficiency multiplied by effectiveness. Productivity mindset is having effectiveness, efficiency clubbed to the purpose, to your vision, to the bigger goal, with smaller milestones to celebrate and remind us of our vision. And that was the main purpose of starting that series. So, what did we cover in this series? The first episode was talking about standardization, which improves productivity. The second
Yeah,
one, we talked about 5S as an approach, and that gave me so many DMs on LinkedIn and Facebook that people started sharing their desk, people started sharing their drawers. You, Kalpesh, did a complete change in the makeover of your pen set and the way you align things. There were school children who also shared their pictures. I mean, uh, the teachers were there on the event in Facebook, and I got it from Glendale. I got it from one or two other schools where they shared the picture of their desk, their admin desk. And that was really motivating. Then we came upon to the third point was creating accountability using the simple tool or the simple approach. That's when we touched base upon, can quality be inspected or it can be produced? We all know
yeah,
the answer. To produce that quality or to ensure that the quality is produced, what we need to do is we need to follow FTR, which is first time right.
right.
Now, to follow FTR, we ensure that we need to do mistake proofing or pokayoke that we call. To implement that Pokayoke 5S or any other tool that we still talked about, we needed data. We needed the diagnosis, because unless and until data is available, you cannot do it. So we talked about where to collect the data, how to collect the data, and how to put use of that data to create data intelligence and governance for the organization. When we have all that in place, the next thing that we need is motivated employees. Now, you cannot go and motivate an employee every day. So we shared the tricks and the tips for having employee motivation, which will be self-induced, or we call it as self-motivation. How can you be self-motivated for your organization, for yourself? Which brought us to the next topic, which was employee engagement, where we were able to share that what is employee engagement. It's a trust, it's a two-way street. It's not an HR activity, but it's a two-way street where employee and employer are equally involved, equally responsible, and they both share the ownership. And
Yes.
that, if completed in totality and put into use in the right spirit, gives us the topic of today: autonomous work culture to create symphony. So these are the dots, and these are the episodes which are already available on YouTube on my channel, which is Sagar Amlani. Please feel free to watch those videos, and if you have any questions, please let us know. We will be happy to answer. Now, while doing all that, Kalpesh, it brings me to one important point, which is creating culture, creating mindset. And none other, I mean, who else than you can help us in understanding how to create winning cultures? Would you like to share some light on it, Kalpesh? I mean, why don't you just give a little bit insight about how to create winning cultures, and what do you mean by that?
Sure, Sagar. So creating winning cultures, which is which is the program that we offer. Uh, so we basically want to talk and address the core of every organization. So we start with talking about the leadership. And when I said we're talking about leadership, we talk about what are who is the leadership? Who is your team? Do you even know who is on table with you? Who's playing the game with you? So therefore, the first thing, even before defining the game, we define that who the leaders are that you have along with you. And from there, we've moved into discussing the core of the organization, which is the purpose, vision, mission, values, talking about strategy as a success, talking about creating accountability in a systemic way, linking that to building trust and empathy, and trust and empathy not in terms of some golden statements and something that you talk as a checklist, but something that evolves as a part of the process for your organization. And then we spoke about how do we bring that trust and trust in the communication, and closed the entire discussion that we had on LinkedIn Live with talking about how do we shift people from an employee mindset to an entrepreneur mindset. And I think that's the journey which brings people to think about how do you build a winning culture in an organization.
Sure, that's very well said, Kalpesh. And every Sunday is like you have something to do. Earlier, when we were kids, we had Mahabharat and Ramayan, where we waited for the Sunday. And now what we have is creating winning cultures every Sunday at 11 o'clock with you and Shalaka. That's an amazing thing that you've been doing, and it's really inspiring. Every time you listen to it, you always get some new ideas, some new thoughts, and some new tricks and tips to do something very differently and engage the stakeholders and bring in something really nice. That brings
Great, quite
us,
so.
Alpesh, to the strategy. Now we have told people that building productivity mindset, you need to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But how do they actually do that? So let me share the strategy today, the secret
Mm-hmm.
sauce of creating autonomous work culture. So the
Okay.
first phase is you need to work on the HR policies and understand the as is. This is after the diagnosis done, Kalpesh. So this is just
Okay.
a strategy to understand where the organization stands in terms of HR policies, what are the amenities, what are the facilities, what are the processes that they have, and what are the incubates that they have.
Sagar, I'm not able to hear you. Are you still there? Sagar, are you still there? Sagar, I've lost your voice. I'm not able to hear you. Sagar,
Okay, team. Sorry for the interruption. I think there was a breakdown at on Sagar's end where the internet is completely gone. The electricity is down. So give us a moment and we'll come back. But what you see here is something that Sagar had documented and drafted as a strategy, and which has been published uh, officially as a white paper. And the whole approach is not trying to move everything at one shot, but actually taking a phase wise approach, which then talks about the winning hearts in the first phase, the second phase, which talks about creating autonomous culture, and the third phase results into creating customer delight. So we'll request all of you to hold on and stay for a moment while Sagar comes back and gives us a lot more insights into what he means into each of those phases. So great. I think Sagar is back. Sagar, are you able to hear us?
Yes, Kalpesh, very well. Thank you. And there was a power glitch.
Right. Do we understand,
Great.
Sagar,
So
that that happens? So
no problem. Thank you very much. So, what I was sharing is, creating that winning heart, understanding the ecosystem, understanding the basis as is based on the HR policies, the processes that they have, the basic amenities, infrastructure, and incentives. Because unless and until you create winning hearts or you create that winning culture, and you have the employees aligned to the organization's change, it'll be very difficult to implement that change management. So before we go on to a stage of change management or implementing that change management, we need to ensure that we start winning hearts of the people. Taking it forward, it's about creating that autonomous work culture, creating that training, that mindset, and providing the cultural shift, creating that awareness to have ownership. Going to phase three, which will be customer delight, where we will be using creating accountability and other parameters that we talked about. And then from there on, talking about the systems approach and the review mechanism, which helps us in giving data and the data intelligence and the governance. So all that 9 topics that we talked about, Kalpesh, will fit into these phases, and these phases basically depends completely on the organization, their setup and their approach, where we as consultants approach them and understand their organization, but every single person can follow these phases, because these phases, this strategy has been implemented in two organizations. This strategy has been recommended, and it is being verified by the Business Agility Institute of Canada, where my papers have been published. And it's really a well-known strategy which has been approved and implemented in two organizations which are doing amazingly well. So yes, Kalpesh, I would love to also have your views on this.
No, wonderful. I think Sagar, congratulations first of all, because I think you know sometimes you always start with a philosophy in mind, and I think when you started with this as a philosophy, and then when you've executed that into organizations, and the same has been uh, verified or validated, if I may call, by the Business Agility Institute. I think that's a recognition, and it kind of at least creates a benchmark that yes, this is the philosophy that works, and this is a philosophy which has a success story associated with it. So I
Absolutely.
think building productivity mindset with those three phases uh, work very well. And I was just telling the audience and our friends when you dropped Sagar, was that this has been beautifully curated in three phases, because while everybody may want to do everything at the same time, but it's like if I'm trying to create a systemic approach, I cannot do that if I don't have the basic foundation in place. So I cannot build a bridge without having the first part, which is the design, without having the right policies, without having the right infrastructure, uh, and so on. And once I have those things which are put in place, is where the entire experience of creating or building an autonomous work culture happens. So I think that's a very good strategy, Sagar. Lots of takeaways for each one of us here in looking at what can we do differently, or what is it that we can do more into our organizations that can help us reach that.
Great. So, with that note, I would love to know from the audience who are listening, do you have any questions? Do you have any suggestions in terms of, what are the problems that you have? What are the things that we should cover more? And I would be happy to answer. While that chat comes in and people type in their answers, Kalpesh, I would love to share my gratitude towards Red Bricks, Connect Quotient, and TEDx Chorangi, who have been our sponsors. And Red Bricks has been very kind to support us every Thursday, every time when we want to set up our things, and they've been very very helpful. So what is Red Bricks that I talk about? I have a small video of, not more than 59 seconds, which I would love to share and share it with the people for them to know how amazing that organization is. So there it is. So
Wow.
that is a beautiful space, Kalpesh.
I have visited it personally, Sagar. So I know I've been to Red Bricks offices, and I think one is about, of course, the infrastructure, and I think the second is what they claim, the service orientation, the amount of willingness with which they partner with you in whatever you require. I think that's something which is amazing. So kudos to Red Bricks, and thank you, Red Bricks, for providing us this space and an opportunity, or building, giving us the ecosystem for us to conduct our orchestra for the audience.
Absolutely, Kalpesh. Absolutely. So thank you, Rachna, Shalini, Ashish, and the team here, Sai, they've been just amazingly beautiful people, beautiful souls, helping out professionally and giving out their best to support me in bringing this amazing series out of building productivity mindset. So that,
Great.
Kalpesh, nears to the summary and the session that we were talking about, the autonomous work culture. I would love to know if you have any questions or if you would like to share something. What are your thoughts about building productivity mindset, the autonomous work culture, and something from your mind, because you've been there with me for last 12 episodes, and I am so grateful to you for your support, for the way you've handled, the way you've moderated the sessions for me. It's just been amazing.
Thank you, Sagar, and you're welcome. I think equal thanks to you because this was an equal opportunity for me to partner with you and to look at how we can contribute and make a difference. So just before we do the closing and wish all our people a happy Diwali, I want to ask you, Sagar, before we close this event today or before we close the discussion today, is what has been your greatest takeaway in building this entire conversation series of building productivity mindset? What are few takeaways for you?
The biggest takeaway for me is, I got to learn and I experienced it myself. The more you give, the more you get. The more you share, the more knowledge you get. Now, why do I say that? It's not because I started my own consultancy or something, but every time, every session, yes, I've been doing that for over 13 years in various organizations. I've been living that, like 5S, Kaizen, Six Sigma, continual improvement, HR policies, employee engagement, appreciation, working out gratitude, motivating employees, all that. But every time when you wanted to do a session or when we wanted to do a session, it was about me going back to my books, going back to my basics, going back to the internet, finding out more things, learning out amazing new things. So every time I invested on upskilling myself in those areas. And the best part is, there's a book coming out for building productivity mindset. On the series, there's a book being written down. It's under writing. I've completed 50% of it, but very soon, building productivity mindset, the series, I'm launching it as a book for various organizations who can take use of that book and implement the strategies in their organizations to create autonomous work culture. So that's been a very humble takeaway from my side. And not to forget, I got so many new connections, so many new friends, so many new, human beings who have appreciated the work that I did. So all those are the takeaway. And one thing that I'll never forget in my life, the happiness that I get after each session keeps me charged for almost 72 hours, Kalpesh. I am on high, like it's like drugs for me. Like the minute I complete a session, the things I give, I get high on that session, and I'm so happy till next 72 hours, and I start preparing in the next 72 hours for the next session. So it's just been amazing, blissful journey for me.
Beautiful. That's so great to hear. And I know it's also a transformational journey for the leap that you've
Yeah.
taken. Uh, I would like to share my takeaway, Sagar. I think the last 3 months that we've been together on this journey, as you really said, while there were a lot of concepts, a lot of philosophies, but what these sessions helped was channelizing those thoughts, going back to the design table, looking at what we've done, what are the things that we've missed. Of course, there were a lot of things which I got back to thinking that, oh, maybe there were certain things that I could have done better, or
Yeah.
maybe there were certain things that I was doing in a particular way. Like, the example of 5S. I thought that the pen stand that I had different boxes, and hence I was following the 5S, versus when you actually pinpointed on, what can I do better, it actually put me on a thinking table saying, oh, maybe I was doing it the way I thought it was right. And there is probably a next level of excellence that I can reach. And I think a lot of takeaways in those discussions, in those preparations, is something that I'm going back with. Uh, and I'm going back with the thought that, you know, every now and then. you need to go back to your basics. So what I've also done is, Sagar, I have gone back to my habit of reading books. I have actually in the last 1 month subscribed to Audible, and I've downloaded a lot of audiobooks. So whenever I'm on the move, I'm in the car, I utilize that time to listen to a lot of books. And that going back to basics has been so profound that suddenly it makes you feel fresh, and suddenly it gives that that energy for you to be back on a discussion, because you've read through it, you've experienced it yourself. So thank you, because I think this conversation was an opportunity for me to go back to the design table and look at what more I can do.
So while we talk about that, I would also now, this session has been going on talking about orchestra, talking about symphony, talking about beautiful things. So before we announce what's coming up next, or before we share what's coming up next in building productivity and what are we doing at the backstage, I would love to share one more thing, which is again a music thing. We all love to hear good music. We all love to work with organizations who have good teams, good communication, good documentations, and immediate replies. I mean, I'm not saying immediate solution, at least an immediate reply. And when it doesn't happen, a kind of negativity pops up. So I'm sure we all love to hear good music because it soothes the soul, it elevates us. And the same elevation is required in an organization. So I'm going to play a tune of 57 seconds, and I guarantee, Kalpesh, you will ask me to play more. Let me share it.
Wow. Offline, I would, of course, want to know which one is this, and would want to hear the entire piece. Yeah, that was an amazing masterpiece.
So that masterpiece can be created by every single organization if you start implementing what I call as a productivity mindset and not just being productive. So that's where I humbly say that this session, the live series of building productivity mindset, comes to an end. But it's the beginning of a new journey of Zepro Consultants. It's a new journey where I'll be launching a book. I've already got engaged with 2 clients, and there are more coming up. So I would be so happy to share my knowledge on building productivity mindset with anyone who wants to know how it can be done. The book I am expecting to be launched by the new year, somewhere in the first quarter. So let's see, God's grace, and if everything works out, the editing team, the cover designing team, everything put into place, I should be able to get this book out very soon. And that brings us to the end of this wonderful series, Kalpesh.
Great, Sagar. Wish you all the very best. And I'll only add to what you said, that this is just a comma and not a full stop.
Yeah, yeah.
There's lots more to come. It's only now moving to a new sense of direction, a new insightful discussion. So we're going to stay connected. We're going to keep coming back and sharing all our knowledge and wisdom with everyone. So Sagar, all the very best for Zapro Consultants. All the very best for your book. and all the very best for your journey as as an entrepreneur. Because I think knowing you personally for last so many years, I think you have what it takes, and I think it's only about just keeping that belief, having that faith in what you know, and moving towards what you do need to do next. So wish you all the very best. Wish you a happy Diwali and a prosperous New Year. And I want to wish all our listeners and all of them who've been with us throughout, wish you a happy Diwali, and stay safe, stay connected, stay healthy. That's from my side on the platform of building productivity mindset.
Thank you, Kalpesh. And yes, wishing everyone a very happy Diwali. And as Kalpesh said, it's just a comma. So, my earnest request to all the listeners, while we are preparing for the next LinkedIn Live series, please share what would you like to know from us? What would you like for us to bring on table? We are planning something really creative starting in the new year where we are going to bring amazing things talking about productivity, building productivity mindset, relating productivity to our daily lives. But what more do you want us to talk about? What are the people? What are the thoughts? What are the ideas that you want us to work upon and share it with you guys? Please let us know in the comments below. We would be happy to answer. And again, wish you a very happy Diwali. If you have missed any episodes of this series, the link of YouTube is just right below. Please watch and connect back to us.
Okay, great. Thank you. Stay safe, stay healthy. Happy Diwali.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.
Bye. Bye.